Will the Denver Nuggets be victims yet again, or will they figure out a way to make the calendar work for them? It's NBA schedule release day, and we're talking all things home and away, back to back, and travel woes. Stay tuned. Welcome to What's in a Game. I'm Grace Jean here with my co host, Will Jones. How are you doing today, Will?
The schedule came out and I was rushing to try and make the whole calendar for the show. So it took a while and appreciate the audience's patience. But I'm not excited to follow Bobby Marks. So thanks for all you new subs and everything who came in from that episode. We really appreciate you guys and supporting the show.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the episodes that made me particularly appreciative of the platform because otherwise I'm not able to have long form conversations with people like Bobby and some of our other awesome guests who we also have gleaned some information that we're going to use in the podcast today from some other friends of the podcast. Um, Before we jump into everything, please do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Helps us grow the channel as we, contend with the YouTube algorithm. Well, we got to get to some pretty massive news that dropped yesterday, kind of on schedule eve. And that is that the Los Angeles Lakers have been sold again. If you could bring up the tweet from Ramona Shelburne here with the big announcement from yesterday.
Yes. Well, it should be coming up, but it's not.
Okay, that is unfortunate. Okay, let me pull it up because I was just gonna read from that. But
Let me grab it.
The gist of the story there is that the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, here we go. Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to American businessman Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for a record-breaking price over $12 billion. It's around $12.5 billion, as it turns out. Kushner and Iger were involved in an expansion process for Las Vegas, but a stunning turn, they pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers from Mark Walter, who they had purchased a controlling interest in the team from the Buss family just last year. Will, what was your first reaction to this news? Because I had to process it twice, hours apart, because I missed some crucial information.
Yeah, my first reaction was they just were sold. And then when I saw the names Kushner and Iger, who are powerful in terms of how much money they have, they're very potent. And I don't want the Lakers to be run by someone with deep pockets, because when Jeanie Buss was running them, I mean, I know they won a ton of championships, but when Jeanie Buss was running them, they weren't run like they had a bunch of money. They couldn't pay for an insane roster. They were lucky that LeBron wanted to go there and then demanded that AD demanded trade there. They were handed Luka Doncic. So now that they have more money, I'm kind of worried about, how they'll look into the future, especially with Luka on the team. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going through my head.
It's interesting because clearly Mark Walter wasn't looking too far into the future. If he were, he might have found a different way to deal with his the legal trouble that seems to have precipitated this. So, as a reminder to people, Mark Walter is also the owner of the LA Dodgers, and as far as we know, they're not being sold. Neither are the LA Sparks, who he co-owns with Magic Johnson. And there's also no news on his interest, and I don't know that he has a controlling interest, but he is part owner of Chelsea FC. I didn't know. I thought that was interesting in researching that. I didn't know if you knew that, Will, as a Chelsea fan yourself.
I know, it's the most disgusting thing in sports is just that these really rich people own the teams. And Chelsea used to be owned by a Russian oligarch, of course. When I was a kid and became a fan of them, I didn't know that. But, you start to learn these things. And I do think that the dichotomy of, an owner like Kushner, who now has direct ties to Trump, owns the Lakers, and how much is Trump going to try to weasel his way in and get down on the court for whatever NBA Cup championship trophy presentations there are.
Oh my gosh. Right? Because he's always trying to weasel into these trophy presentations, even when he has nothing to do with the teams. Tried to do it with well, we know he did it with Team USA at the World Cup. Well, no, because they didn't win, but like he tried to do it with Team Spain at the World Cup. So I was like, what? And then it happened again in soccer. Was it last year? Not this year with Arsenal, but whoever won the Champions League the year before. That's where like all of the memes of like, what's this guy doing in the photo started.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. Um in that news, like, yeah, it's really unfortunate when these kind of these billionaires that can afford to buy these sports teams are the ones involved, and then they get into potentially some shady dealings that then um, affect the team. In this case, Mark Walters seems to be involved in a couple of different federal investigations having to do with potential loan fraud, and I highly encourage everyone to check out Silver Screen and Roll. They cover the Lakers. They have a good rundown of kind of all the reporting around Mark Walter and this story that had been building up for a couple of weeks now, having to do with these investigations. And it seems like the most likely thing here is that he sold the Lakers to raise money to pay back some perhaps shady loans. All speculation at this point, all alleged. But he is, in fact, under active investigation by the FBI. So,
Yeah,
take that for what
I
you
didn't
will.
even know that. Because I was thinking
Yeah.
about Ballmer and how he's being investigated just by the league for what he did in the NBA specifically. Didn't know Walters was being investigated outside for some other shady business. So I don't know. These owners are always doing something. It's just a matter of who wants to hold them accountable or not, which I don't know if Adam Silver does.
How you get to the money. Which, yeah, that's the thing with like all these new like uber rich owners coming into the league. Like there's definitely less of an incentive to, have a like any particularly strict vetting process for ownership, because the whole idea from the league's perspective, and by league I mean like the owners of the teams in the league, is if we can get the most money from whoever to come and buy up a new team, that raises everybody's valuations because it just makes the whole league more valuable in the eyes of whoever's doing these valuations. So that that increases their ability to, who knows, use their shares as collateral or flip it later down the line. Yeah, it's a
But
way that the oligarchy class can funnel money. It's basically ultimate sports washing.
at least we have the second apron now.
We did so this is interesting because we did kind of talk about this a couple years ago as like maybe part of the impetus for the super harsh CBA restrictions at the top end anyway. Was like if you wanted to look at it like incredibly generously and altruistically from the perspective of the ownership groups and teams that like really care about competitiveness and competitive advantages. It's like we're getting all these like uber rich owners coming into the league. It's only a matter of time before you get what you have in uh, like international soccer, for example, where you've got like Emirati money and Saudi money coming in. That's like dumb money that like literally doesn't care. Like they can spend whatever. So you have to uh add in all these additional like restrictions to make it just difficult to team build if you quote unquote overspend. Hurricane Teabag says the more expensive these teams get, the less vetting the league can do. $7 billion for a basketball team is a pretty limited customer base. That's true, because then it's like, well, if this guy gets vetted out of the process, like who's his competition? On that note, from that Ramona tweet, and this was the thing that originally caught my eye is these were two guys, Kushner and Iger, that were kind of originally testing the waters for a potential Vegas expansion bid. I think it's interesting that they just went with like, let's just buy the Lakers, because again, more reporting, and I got this from that Silver Screen and Roll article, that they found out that Mark Walter was looking to offload the Lakers. Like they heard that. So like clearly this was like a priority for them. It's not like they or it was a priority for Walter. It's not like they kind of went to him with a Godfather offer out of nowhere, right? But it means one less bidder in the running for Vegas. I'm curious about who some of the other, um, potential, like,
Yeah.
disgustingly wealthy
What
people
is the
are.
what is the number for bidding for the Vegas team
Right.
if 12 billion didn't get it done?
Well, I'm not. That's not. It's not. That's not necessarily the calculus for them, right?
Mm,
Because to me, it was like I was thinking they don't see the value in Vegas. So they're like, we're going to pivot to the Lakers. But then that would require
mm,
scrounging more money, obviously, because the Lakers are going to be the most valuable franchise in the league. Um, so that was my like my logic tree for these people. I don't know for sure that that's what they were thinking. But I mean, if you're looking to become like make a major move and become a big owner in sports, and you hear that the Lakers become available and you have the means to scrounge up the assets necessary to get them, you do that because it's the Lakers and they are the most valuable franchise in sports. Um, even
mhm.
after LeBron James left, like I think that that's kind of interesting that like he leaves and they still Mark Walter is able to flip the team for $2.5 billion after a year. There's so much stupid money in sports. It's actually it's insane.
Yeah. It's rough.
It makes you wonder. Yeah, but we'll keep monitoring what's going on with domestic expansion. Bobby saying that it might be another 2 years was pretty disheartening on the last episode. Because
Yeah.
we want the Timberwolves to go east as soon as possible. um, and also again from like the players and like the players union perspective, another team means more jobs for players in the league and more money going to player salaries because they have to fill those roster spots. So that could fully transform the economy of the not the economy of the NBA, but the economy of the relationship between the players and the teams more so than any singular CBA clause could. Because it's the equivalent of like, okay, they added a salary floor. Now teams like the Houston Rockets have to spend more than 40% of the cap. That means an additional, conservatively like $40 million from one team. Let's multiply that by three, like 150 million dollars, right? That gets added to play, like that players are getting paid more. If you add two NBA teams that now have to spend at least up to the salary floor, which by the time they get added is $160 million each. That's an additional over $300 million that is going towards um, players and player salaries. So, yeah, tangential to this story, but very curious to see when we're going to start getting more news on the expansion front. The last thing we talked about was them wanting to, some of the groups that were interested in purchasing a Vegas team wanting to call them the Las Vegas Jacks, and we were kind of like, that's kind of boring. But, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Um, all right. Next news item that we've got here has to do with Peyton Watson. there was an aggregated story that was going around last week about Anthony Slater. Well, did you get the video?
No,
For
I didn't want to
no.
pull the video
Oh,
just
okay,
because
okay,
whatever
yeah,
their
that's no
podcast, but
problem. I wanna read the, well, most of the full quote from Anthony Slater, the relevant bit that kind of got, clipped and aggregated in a way that was really kind of annoying to me. As most of the Peyton Watson news has been really annoying because it's, like, not really news. Um, so Anthony Slater was on the Hoop Collective talking to Brian Windhorst about the reporting about what Denver's offer to Peyton Watson was, and how it was like 4 years, 70 million, I think was the most recent one with like a team option in the fourth year. Was the most recent reporting there. I think that was from Sam Amick at The Athletic. All right, so Anthony Slater says, quote, I covered the Nuggets Timberwolves first round series, and they kept calling him day to day, day to day. Maybe he'll play at some point in the series and never did. Part of the belief was this looming restricted free agency. You had Aaron Gordon at the time dragging himself onto the floor, dealing with a calf strain, and Watson was never able to get out there. Anthony goes on to talk about how that like could have built some like resentment up within the team. It was unclear to me whether he was referring to like the locker room, the organization, whatever. But the part of this conversation that seemed to be making the rounds was the part of that quote where he says, "quote Part of the belief was this looming restricted free agency," and that that fragment of what he said could have been part of the belief from the organization, which is how a lot of people took it, which was like, oh yeah, they thought like this is what he was doing, like sitting out intentionally because he didn't want to injure himself for like re-injure himself for restricted free agency or before restricted free agency. Um, he could have easily also meant because of that like passive voice that it was like, hey, us in the media core were like, this is what we were thinking. So speculation that literally everybody had at the time, including us here. This is not to me because of the lack of specificity there. And this is not anything on Anthony Slater. Like, I just think that this got aggregated and looped out of control. This is not news. We don't know this is not something that seemed to be coming out of Peyton Watson's camp. It doesn't seem like something that's coming out of Denver. I don't know why they would even be wanting to put something like this out there. This is continued, like this is reporting on what may have been speculated at the time by maybe people close to the team, maybe media members who were just trying to figure out what was going on with the whole Peyton's day to day thing. And I really resent this whole thing, which is like with like, well, Aaron Gordon tried to get out there with a calf strain. Well, guess what? He did. He looked terrible, re-injured himself, and then missed the rest of the series. So trying to hold Peyton Watson up to the standard of like that as, and I'm not saying that Anthony Slater was doing this, but this is like how a lot of the discourse around Peyton has been framed ever since this like story reemerged is completely unreasonable and like dumb. It's like, why didn't you do this dumb thing that this player did? And I'll remind everybody, we were surprised that AG was playing at the beginning of that series in the first place. And Peyton injured himself maybe a day or two, like a game or two after AG did in terms of his hamstring. And I also think AG had both a hamstring and a calf thing going on at that time as well. Um, so I just wanted to touch on that story. You may think that this is what Peyton was doing. We don't know that this is what Peyton was doing. And I think it's really unfortunate how like recklessly this quote was like taken out of context and like repackaged as like new reporting in the context of everything going on with Peyton's restricted free agency right now. It really doesn't help either side at this point for that to be out there. And yeah, it like I was just very annoyed at this one. Well,
Yeah, I
what's your
mean,
take on it?
a lot of the quotes around this whole restricted free agency is dubious in terms of talking about what they've heard from we don't even know who. It was speculation at the time. Of course, fans were speculating about it during the playoffs, wondering if he was sitting out to not go out there, not perform well in the playoffs, and therefore tanking some of the value that he'd be looking for. But no one really knows. He probably was really hurt.
Can I just interject a bit there as well?
Yeah.
Like it could have very easily, and this seems like probably the most likely thing to me. Peyton is injured. He probably shouldn't be playing through the injury that he had. If it wasn't a contract year, he might have tried, but but it probably wouldn't have worked out because he shouldn't be playing on the injury that he had. But it was also a contract year, so there was less incentive to even add that additional risk out there on there.
Yeah. And there's even on the reports about like what teams might be interested and all that, like it's Sham saying something he heard from someone else, and anything that comes out about it and Shams did have Klutch connections. Really, he's not represented by Klutch now, I'm hearing, or is what you said,
No, no, he used to be.
but used to be. So like, it's just so hard to believe anything with this Peyton Watson, whether it's coming from the Nuggets or coming from Klutch or coming from aggregators or reporters. It's all part of the game.
Well, like the thing is, like
And
none of the stuff that's coming out for the most part is like outright lies, right? So it's not like you don't believe it, but you have to understand the biases of like who's reporting and who their probable sources are. In this case, Shams is like very connected with the agents. That's why he's like constantly giving named credit to agents of players that like got two-way contracts. It's like that's not for us. That's like a throwing them a bone. Like I think everybody knows that at this point, right?
mhm.
That's why he and I was very generous last week with Bobby on the pod, but I think Shams misreported that Lonnie Walker contract, which had everybody thinking that
Oh
Denver filled
yeah,
another standard roster spot when it turned out to just be a training camp deal. Um,
everyone
and
misses the
you know,
Woj
like
era.
everybody hates Woj until he's gone. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just it's less of a they're like you don't know who to believe. It's like you really have to work very
Hmm.
hard to interpret this stuff in a way that gives you an accurate portrayal of what's actually happening because you have to understand the motivations of every party involved.
Yeah.
Um yeah. And like to be very clear, like I don't think from my reading of what Anthony Slater was talking about on Hoop Collective, he seemed to be drumming up a piece of analysis, right? Or speculation that came up at the time in the context of a conversation about why Denver might be offering Peyton less than like people think that some people think that he should be making it at this point. Certainly less than he thinks that he should be making at this point. Um,
Hmm.
I actually thought just the maybe the last thing I'll say about this. Swipa, friend of the pod, who we haven't had on in a while. Might be fun to have Swipa on very soon on the pod again. He actually did a nice 3 or 4 minute video about why he thinks if Klutch is advising or did advise Peyton to like sit out the playoffs like um intentionally when he could have played or could have tried to play. It was actually detrimental to him because of all the conversations that we're having right now where he goes from uh being completely out of the playoff rotation his first year as we know to barely being in it his second year being this is Swipe his words, a liability in the playoffs his third season. And we definitely saw that in the OKC series, especially. to this year not playing, like, yeah, you had a like really high level month that, averaged out to a career season for you in your fourth year if you're Peyton Watson, but the sample size is just so small. And I think it's not only depressing what Denver uh might be willing to offer him, but also what other teams might have been willing to offer him. Like if Peyton came in and had a great playoffs, even if Denver still got bounced, um, do you think it was more likely that a team like the Lakers or even the Bulls said, okay, we're going to prioritize throwing an offer sheet at Peyton Watson using our cap space? Um, or we're going to intentionally clear cap space to try and throw him an offer sheet because we want to try to not be in a situation where, like, again, Denver has all the leverage because they have to agree to a sign and trade as well. And on top of that, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, we're getting all these reports about what some teams are and aren't willing to offer Denver in a sign and trade for Peyton Watson. Does anyone find it at all curious that in all of these reports, every single one of them, we have not gotten a single one that even speculates as to what the other team is actually willing to pay Peyton?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if that number were close to what he was asking for, we would know because Klutch would make sure that we knew. And I think that part of why his value is depressed is that the sample size is so small. And I thought that was a really good point that Swipa made in a recent like short video that he posted earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird because like last summer, everyone was complaining like, why are we spending all summer talking about Jonathan Kuminga? And like this summer, Peyton is the Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, I just as a fan, I never want a restricted free agent on my team ever again. This has been so annoying, and I hate thinking about it and all these scenarios that we had to talk about for so long. And but you're right that there hasn't even been an offer, and the offer, or at least we haven't gotten any numbers of potential offers from other teams, like you're saying. And there's been reports on what Denver might have offered, but we don't know when exactly that was, and that's leading to all kinds of agendas being pushed. But yeah, in regards to him sitting out, I mean, back during that time, I was trying to be reasonable, not just buy into the idea that he was only sitting out because of his free agency, and that, he actually was really hurt. There's a lot of injuries around the league, especially the Nuggets.
Especially
And
us, yeah.
him
Especially our
him sitting
forward.
out him sitting out also is putting a question to other teams who may be wanting to offer him a big contract if he is injury prone or not. Like, that's just another question on top of his head. There's the small sample size, not playing in the playoffs, and whether or not he can kind of play a whole season healthy. And that's just another factor that could limit what he could be offered. But I think he genuinely probably just didn't want to get more severely injured before he's going to get his first payday, and he's not getting paid enough to like tough it out during the playoffs like AG always tries to do. Those starters who
Yeah,
put
and
a lot of
AG like
pride
should
in
stop.
competing.
Like, if do you think that last year goes differently if AG didn't try to play on the grade 2 hamstring strain in Game 7 against OKC last year?
I like to think so. Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't getting more rest. And that was another part of this P-Watt thing. I think when I was reading about it, they cited the training staff. Like, if we were to believe that the training staff and the team weren't sure if he was really injured or not, like, the speculation was that they weren't sure whether he was still severely injured and could have played. I'm just imagining the training staff just not knowing how to properly assess his body. I mean, I know you have to listen to what someone tells you. Like, they're the only person who feels the pain and all that. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, more training staff incompetence. They don't even know who's injured and who's not. Anyway, that's just me wishful thinking for a better training staff to hopefully ensure the Nuggets can be healthy next season, which is probably not all on the training staff, of course. But
I mean, we did see more soft tissue injuries in the league overall last season. It might have just been because of Denver, but I'll take the word on the aggregate there. All
Oh,
right, let's move on to.
well,
Oh,
real quick
go ahead.
before we go to the schedule and everything, do you want to say anything about Russell Westbrook retiring? I don't know, just like a quick
Oh,
thing.
yeah, sure. So, that was announced. Was that this morning officially or
I think I
yesterday?
saw it yesterday.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook released a video, basically, announcing his retirement from professional basketball. So all the rumors that he might, I know there were rumors that like Miami might be a destination, that he was interested in Philly potentially. I saw something like that 2 days ago, I think. Or might even go overseas. Like Russell Westbrook's not going overseas. um, he doesn't need to do that. He's made enough in his career to not have to do that. He announced that he is retiring from professional basketball, and I thought I saw some really nice takes on this on the timeline over the last 36 hours or so, including one from you, Will, where you basically said that you didn't quite you didn't have as much of an appreciation for his game until he was playing for your team, and then you fully understood like why he sort of engendered the kind of loyalty from his fans as he does, just in
Yeah.
terms of the obviously the talent and the athleticism, but just like the talent or the energy, both physical energy and emotional energy that he seems to bring to every single game. Um,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of like Russell Westbrook could really help Denver this year takes on the timeline as well. Um, and I mean, clearly they're not going to sign him. Um, yeah, what was your reaction to seeing Russ
Mm-hmm.
retiring?
A little bit surprised. He was unsigned, and it was leading everyone to wonder which team is he gonna finally go to. You know, who's he gonna go help out? I guess I should have considered he would retire. I wonder if there was a team that might have taken him, but he just wasn't interested in going there at all. And yeah, if you're like at his age, man, he played his last season on the Kings, correct? That is just absolutely crazy. Because you'd think he'd try to be on like a contender, and I guess he would be ring chasing at that point and not playing that big of a role, which sucks for someone as competitive as Russ was. He definitely wanted to make a huge impact on the Nuggets when he was in the playoffs, which may or may not have led to some locker room arguments, whether that's a normal part of being in a locker room and being on a team or not, because guys are going to disagree, and it's can be a healthy thing. But like some people in the chat are alluding to, we don't know exactly what happened with Russ in Denver to make it to where they weren't interested at all in bringing him back when we do have a need at point guard. Even last season, I think we were bemoaning the fact that we didn't have his skill set, and we're still looking to try to replace the ball handling and even just the
The
effort on
downhill
defense.
ability,
And
yeah,
yeah,
the
I mean, he
effort, just the
just
energy, right? Like,
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I'm a Nuggets fan. I've always been a Nuggets fan. So why would I be a Russell Westbrook fan? He's been on a lot of teams that I don't like, including the Thunder, and which I hate the Thunder now way more than when Russ was on the Thunder. But like the Rockets with James Harden, I wasn't a big fan of them. He went to the Lakers with LeBron and then was the scapegoat. Like he has such a weird career in terms of
yeah,
like we said, all these great things about Russ and him being a team guy and an energy guy, but then being the scapegoat and his skill set not necessarily being modern to basketball in terms of the 3-point shooting and the whole Steph Curry revolution. But what he did bring was unique. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. So, I mean, I'm glad I got to experience him as a fan of the Nuggets and him being on the team. And it was fun for one season. He seemed like a great guy. But I guess no one really wanted to sign him. So it's unfortunate, but he's going out on his own terms and deciding to retire, I guess.
Well, I mean, unfortunate or fortunate, right? Like sometimes it's better to just go out on your own terms rather
Yeah.
than sort of being away overseas and everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's still," like you make the retirement announcement, everyone's like, "Oh, I didn't even know that guy was still playing," you know?
That's true. There are a
This way
lot of people
everyone's
like that.
talking about you.
Yeah.
Basketball Sports Energy says Russ probably never lets McDaniels walk us down like that. Every time Jokic got in scuffles, Russ would be there backing him up. Yes, and Russ probably has one of the all-time moments in my like short history of following the Denver Nuggets when this was a regular season game, I think, right, where he uh gets that fast break dunk, like gets the double tech because he like taunts and then he just like continues the taunting after that. It was just like incredible. Um
Hmm. Oh, dang. I just had a thought. Can
yeah.
we blame Russell Westbrook for the Christian Brown contract because he was pushing Christian and was like about to take his starting spot? And then Christian, I mean, he said Russell Westbrook motivated him in that season because he knew his spot wasn't guaranteed. And then he gets the extension, and Russ isn't on the team anymore. And Christian Brown doesn't live up to the extension the season after.
I blame Jokic more than anybody for that contract, so can't make Russ the scapegoat for that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's enough blame of Russ. We can spare him that one. It should be
Yeah.
all in the front office, I guess, and or just Christian. I guess just put it on
And
Christian.
Jokic for feeding him fast break points, but that is a conversation for another day.
All
All right,
right.
let's move on to some way more positive talk here with the NBA schedule. How do you want to do this? Will, do you want to talk about like the big kind of moments first, and then
Yeah,
we'll
let's
go
go
into
with those.
the minutia?
Yeah.
Okay, so this week, with as the NBA always does, they do this kind of piecemeal rollout of the schedule. So we're going to talk about things a little bit in the order that they came out, starting with um, the big leak that usually comes. And it was interesting because Shams didn't actually leak the Christmas Day games that far in advance of the actual Christmas Day schedule coming out, like officially from the NBA, which was interesting. I think 2 seasons ago, especially when they were doing the Olympics, we got the Shams drop like Friday or Saturday, and then we didn't get the actual games until Monday or Tuesday, like the official announcement. But here we are with the Christmas Day slate from the NBA. We've got Spurs Knicks at noon, followed by Heat Celtics, which I just love putting those two teams together. Might be a little bit more interesting this year with the Heat being perhaps a bit more dynamic with Giannis. Um, Sixers Lakers, a bit of LeBron's former team with LeBron's new team going on there. It's been a while since I've seen the Sixers play on Christmas. Also, I don't actually think I've watched the Sixers play on Christmas, even if they have um, over the last few years. Followed by the nightcap games of Thunder at Wolves and then Nuggets at Golden State Warriors to cap off the night. There were a lot of people when this came out on my timeline who were really surprised that Denver got a Christmas Day game. And I'll be honest, I really didn't understand the level of surprise. Like,
Yeah.
who's the West team that should be infuriated that the Denver Nuggets get a Christmas Day game after getting eliminated in round 1 of the playoffs last year?
Yeah, I agree.
Because it was going to be
I
a West team. It's the nightcap game. That's
Yeah. I
And
would be
Denver has a
surprised.
3-time MVP on their team. Like,
I would be more surprised if the Nuggets didn't. And I know people, I know the reasoning, like you're saying, we went out in the first round, and are they not really in that top tier contender status? But there's a lot of teams who play on Christmas who aren't in that status. And it's more just about whatever one star player is on that team. And like, I have to watch the Warriors play on Christmas every year because of Steph Curry, and the Warriors aren't that good and haven't been that good for a long time. And Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, is more exciting to watch than Steph Curry. Sorry, Steph. People can disagree with that, but I think Nikola Jokic just existing means Christmas game, in my opinion. But
hmm. When was the first time that the Nuggets got a Christmas game in the Jokic era? Do you remember?
oh man, I actually don't know, but I remember it being a big, I guess, a big deal for Nuggets fans to say like, "Hey, we finally made it. We're getting a Christmas game. We're getting some respect." That was back before any media kind of embraced the Nuggets and Jokic, and he was still kind of a sleeper, and only the Nuggets fans knew how good he was, and or Serbians. And but then people caught on, and he won a bunch of MVPs. So
So it was pre-MVP.
I don't know for certain, but I feel like it was pre MVP, or maybe it was
Yeah.
only after he won MVP. Anyway,
This is something that interests me. I'll look into that history for next episode. Um Oh wow, that's interesting. The Nuggets had just 5 Christmas Day games between 1977, when the Nuggets joined the NBA, and 2015, Jokic's rookie year. Um, Actually, an interesting story here from Sports Illustrated. We'll get back to that later. But yeah, I agree with you. I would have been more surprised if they didn't have one. It really would have depended on what team kind of replaced them, because there were I expect there to be at least 5 West teams playing, because there's 5 games. Um, and sometimes there's like one game that is an East-West matchup. In this case, Knicks Spurs, which I think they've done 2 Christmases before this one. They definitely did last year. I think they did it the year before also. Wemby's rookie season. Um, yeah, but it would have depended on who was there. Like, I probably would have been really annoyed if like the next best team in terms of having a case is like the Rockets. Is like, well, they're also good. They also went out in round one
Kevin
to a
Durant.
lower seed, and they've got KD. But I would have been really annoyed because it's like, well, KD's old, and Jokic is a recent 3-time MVP, right? Like, I didn't really see an argument for anybody above Denver outside of uh, Spurs, Thunder, understandably Lakers and Warriors, because they're just always there. And then Denver, like, just kind of is what it is. Um all right, let's move on to the next big thing, which is actually the first big thing, the start of the regular season, with the opening night or opening nights big national TV schedule of all the major openers. If you could bring that one up. So this
Yeah.
part of the schedule definitely interested me because of what I thought it would mean for the rest of Denver's schedule. So here's what opening week looks like. First night, it's just going to be these three games. You get the kind of afternoon game, very early afternoon. It's weird seeing these times on the East Coast, because I'm visiting family right now, and also this is just how the NBA reports them um in Florida. But when I'm in California, it's like, oh, 3 p.m. game is actually 6 p.m. for us in California. That's normal. 3 p.m. is kind of weird. Like, people aren't home from work yet. It's a Tuesday for Pistons Celtics here as the first game of the opening night of the regular season. 7 p.m. Eastern, you get Sixers Knicks, which should be interesting. Like, you get a playoff rematch, plus it's like the very, very new look Philadelphia Sixers with the um somewhat new look Knicks. They're missing Mitch, but otherwise the same, right? After coming off of winning a title. It's their ring night as
That'd be a
well.
fun one. Yeah.
Um, and then the nightcap there is a rematch of Thunder Spurs, which is interesting. So San Antonio gets the home game there. That's fun.
It's a good opening day, I have to say. Like, I would watch all those
Yeah.
games if I can be available. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know that I'll be able to catch Celtics Pistons live, but we'll
But the night
see.
games are really good, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I guess
Um,
Boston maybe is less interesting. I forgot, like Jaylen Brown's not on them and all that. But I mean, Cade Cunningham's exciting.
so the rest of the games that you see here are going to be national TV games, but other games will also be happening. So like once opening night happens, then all the other teams can start having their home openers. So even if you're not listed here, your team will likely be playing on Wednesday or Thursday here, but on national TV on ESPN, whereas the opening night of the regular season is going to be on NBC and Peacock. You've got Heat Wolves, which is like, sure, Giannis versus Ant. Why not? And then the classic Lakers Warriors, which I don't know if it's classic anymore without LeBron there, because that was the whole thing for the last like 6 years, is like it's Steph versus LeBron. Um, but I guess they were like, well, it has to be Lakers Warriors, because if it's not them, then it has to be those two teams, and I guess so they have to play each other. um
Yeah.
Which I don't know that like Steph versus Luca has the same draw. But that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see. And then here's the thing that did surprise me, because Christmas is one thing, but having a national TV game during opening week is different. And Denver did have one. I think they also had a Thursday game. It was against the Warriors. Was it the Thursday game or a Wednesday game? Um, they get an opening week national TV game against the Thunder. So that's going to be the first game of the season for Denver. And that same night, it's going to be Cavs Sixers, which is like kind of whatever. I guess it's like the team that LeBron could have come home to versus the team he chose, but he's choosing not to live in their state.
Right? Yeah, it's not even in Cleveland.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I guess it's the home opener for the
Philadelphia.
Sixers. So
It's in a state that LeBron
is that their
doesn't
home
live
opener?
in.
Has to be. Yeah.
For the no, because
Sixers
they're playing on Tuesday. Oh, their home opener. Yes, yes, it would be their home opener. Yeah.
So I mean, NBA's still trying to capitalize off LeBron as much as they can.
I mean,
the last
we're gonna
season,
get to the national TV games, and
yeah, he hasn't even said it's his last season.
Huh?
So he hasn't said it's his last season. So he's not even getting like the whole contract. He hasn't set up the whole tour thing, but he's going to have a documentary about this season for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to get that announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Why else? You're not going to document your penultimate season. Why are you doing a documentary on your penultimate season?
Yeah, true. I don't know. We'll see. But okay, in regards to the Nuggets Thunder, we didn't play the Thunder for like a long time last season, I think, right? Like the first time was...
I think all 4 games against OKC were after January, like after the turn of the calendar.
I remember thinking like, damn, we don't play them for a long time, which is kind of nice in a way because they're a tough regular season opponent, but kind of want to see how you...
But it also meant that like everybody was injured in every matchup.
Yeah.
Like not everybody, but neither team was healthy in any matchup that we played last season because both teams dealt with injuries. And everybody in our chat, of course, knows what Denver was dealing with injury-wise last season. I think we had 2 matchups with them in February, and that was crazy because it was like the first time you play a division opponent is in February. That's a team you have to play at least 4 times. And I say at least because of the unscheduled NBA Cup games. That I thought that was insane last year. And then of course they had one more game in March, and then they obviously played the second to last game of the season against OKC, which spoiler alert, is going to be the case again this season, or actually it'll be the last game this season. But yeah, Denver gets a national TV game on opening week. Is there any team that isn't here? I feel like there's probably a better case for like Denver should like another team should have been here than Denver shouldn't have gotten Christmas, even though there are literally more slots. But there's also repeats, like the Sixers get multiple. The Sixers are actually the only team that has multiple national TV games on opening week because of
you have.
LeBron.
I feel like the teams on opening night are pretty standard. It's former champ OKC and Spurs and Sixers. I mean, maybe the Lakers just because the NBA's insufferable and they push the Lakers and the Celtics so much. But you get them on the second day, get Warriors. Yeah, Nuggets are third, so they're like that third tier of urgency, I guess.
Yeah. That's just how the cookie crumbles, Like, I don't know what people expect. Like, Denver's not going to be like a trash team next year, right? No matter how bad you reasonably think they're going to be because of like malaise and like they haven't got a dog trying to sneak into the room. They went out out in round one sad, and like they didn't make major improvements yet. Like, we don't know how the end of the off season's going to shape out. It's shaping up to be a dramatic finale with Peyton Watson
and no Wizards, AD and Trey Young. That's
I know,
like
right?
The grand experiment.
Everybody's
Everyone wants
sleeping
that.
on the Washington Wizards, who are going to try really hard not to be in the relegation zone this season. Who do you think the bottom three teams are going to be in the NBA this year, Will? Who's going to get lower lottery odds?
Every time I try to predict the bottom teams, I'm wildly wrong. Like I said, the Suns were going to be the last team last year, and it was way off. It's not going to be the Wizards. Maybe the Kings. Probably the Kings, especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kings
Craig Matos agrees.
Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, it's just Cam Boozer and friends right now. Cam Boozer, Edie and friends.
Yeah. They picked up some interesting young players though, and what's his name? Jordan Walsh.
It's just for me, like they don't. It's the other like bad teams tried to improve, because they didn't want to be in the relegation zone, whereas Memphis kind of stripped it down to the studs. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting. Who knows? Maybe they make a deadline move that changes their fate there. I'm very curious to see how the new lottery rules play out. But before we get, that was my fault. I got kind of sidetracked there. Denver gets an opening night game. It's a late opener. The reason I thought having a Thursday game would mean bad news for Denver's schedule. It's like the later you start, the more compressed your schedule has to be. So I was like, oh, they're probably going to get 15 or 16 back-to-backs again, just because they start like 2 days later than some of the other like really good teams that are contenders. Or, I guess because everybody plays on game 82 on the last day. That's always a fun day.
Yeah, I wish there was more days like that.
As we're gonna discuss, Denver got a like relatively favorable schedule this year, actually, when it comes to just how everything was organized and even the density. The last thing here that we've got is NBA Rivals Week, which unsurprisingly, Denver makes a cameo in multiple spots here yet again. If you could bring up Rivals Week.
Oh no, Rivalry Week.
Yeah, so here's Denver again. Nuggets Wolves on January 27th, and then Nuggets Thunder on January 30th. Both away games, so that's annoying, but whatever. They're division games. They were always going to be hard. Um, I think here's Denver again. They're just like squeezing everything they can out of these out of like the teams that have stars, basically. That's what Rivals Week is like teams with stars. You might
It's
be
always
like,
funny.
what the hell are the Charlotte Hornets doing there? And then you see they're playing the Timberwolves. So it's just like LaMelo's new team versus LaMelo's old team. I hope LaMelo
Just
is
so we can
healthy
beat
enough
them down.
to actually play in that game.
And
I'm
it's
not sure why ESPN was like, this is the one we want when they were selecting their Rivals Week games.
look, they usually are like grasping to make rivals. So
Yeah.
any little weird dynamic like this where it's a former player against his recent team, they're going to do it. Especially if he has some intrigue like LaMelo Ball and all that. Like Sixers versus Heat, I guess they play in the playoffs. LeBron didn't go back to the Heat.
Well, that one
Giannis
should be
versus
good because it'll be
Sixers.
like superstar power, right? Like you got Giannis, you got Bam, who have played against each other in the playoffs. Um, you've also got Embiid, who has played against. I don't think Embiid's played against Milwaukee in the playoffs. Actually, I don't think
Embiid versus
Philadelphia has done
Giannis
that.
would
But
be
you've got
fun.
LeBron and Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown has played against all of these guys in the playoffs for sure with Boston. So actually, that game
Yeah.
should be interesting. The question is just like, what is the state of the health of the Sixers? But I mean, LeBron's pretty durable, except for like that early stretch last season, and Jaylen Brown's pretty durable. It's really just about Embiid at this point, because they don't have to worry about Paul George anymore. And then hoping that Giannis is healthy on Miami. So yeah,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
should be maybe an actually interesting game.
yeah. I think overall this is weak though. A pretty weak week. uh
Really? Like, relative to
yeah.
what though? Because I feel like
Relative to the opening week for sure. Um
mm,
because Spurs
I
Thunder is
mean, you get
amazing. Like
Thunder
not having
Lakers, you
Spurs
get like
Thunder
a
this week is like, what are you doing?
yeah, yeah. I agree
Um
with that. That should have been
and then
there.
we have
Like, why are you doing
the
Spurs
Nuggets have Wolves
Warriors?
and
They're just
Thunder,
kind of there randomly.
and the Spurs are getting layups handed to them.
Yeah, they should have just swapped the Spurs and the Nuggets there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
Let's
wouldn't have
make the
changed
Wolves and Spurs
arenas. They're
rivals.
both away games for
The
those
Frenchmen,
teams.
the Battle of the French, Wemby versus Gobert. That should be a rivalry. I don't know.
Yeah, they just played each other in the playoffs too.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't get Spurs Wolves, I think, on any of the major
no, it's always Nuggets, Wolves,
days.
Nuggets, Thunder.
I haven't looked at the President's Day schedule. That wasn't like a marquee day for like a priority for me, but that is another like specific day that they have like a particular national TV slate. So it might be there. But yeah, Spurs Wolves probably a missed opportunity there. Um,
Or even Nuggets, Spurs, which I'm glad we are not seeing. But
I don't yeah, but I
yeah,
just mean in terms of like teams that have played each other in the playoffs and like have a narrative like going in, like
yeah, we
have
haven't even
something to
played
work
them
with.
in the playoffs. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um
it is what
it's
it
okay.
is.
You're right. It's probably like an okay rivals week. Not a big one. I don't think it makes sense to do Wolves Hornets. It's literally just LaMelo's like corpse of an old team versus LaMelo's new team that we hope he's healthy enough to actually play in that game. Um, just a note because the Nuggets, I don't believe, have put out like a graphic for their NBA Cup schedule. Um, we'll kind of see what those games are as we're going through the calendar. But the games will be all on Fridays except for maybe the last one because the last week of the NBA Cup they kind of fit in like whatever the last games that have to happen are. They'll do like a Wednesday, but there'll be group play games on Fridays. I think Denver's got two of those will be on national TV. I think they'll be on Amazon Prime, which is great because I love the NBA Prime, NBA on Prime, NBA Cup games in particular. I think they do a great job with the broadcasts and the post games on those. Like I actually watch the post games when they're on Amazon Prime. Um, yeah, so fun stuff so far. Are you ready to get into the Denver Nuggets schedule quirks?
Yes.
All right. Why
It's
don't you
better than
bring up
last year.
It is better than
At
last year, but
least.
last year's was like genuinely a war crime. So, um,
All right. So I
let's
guess.
yeah, we're gonna talk about some of the month. Do you want to go through the schedule first and then talk about quirks, or do you want to? How do you want
Yeah.
to do this?
I was
Okay.
just like, yeah, let's.
So let's just kind of
Yeah, just kind of go through it.
talk through a bit of each month. So as we talked about, the Nuggets have their season opener against the Thunder. Their home opener will actually be against the New Orleans Pelicans, who they apparently play like 3 times in the first 6 games. We'll see when we flip the calendar to November. So that's kind of fun. But here's the early schedule out of the 5 games in October. Like Denver should probably just win all of them otherwise. So there's an
Yeah.
opportunity for
Should
a
be
really
easy.
strong start here.
Just like we
Um,
did last year. Or was that last
yeah.
year where we like dominated
Yeah.
October?
Yeah, I think they started like 10
Yeah.
and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
All
even
right. So
11
that's
and
an
2.
easy one.
Yeah. Okay, here's November. Bit more packed. But no, there's only one back to back. Is that right? Only one back to back in November? That's pretty sweet, right? At the end of the month. So pretty um
It's a road trip.
light schedule. Yeah, a nice little Toronto, Detroit road trip. Well, it'll be part of a road trip that also includes Utah, our favorite team there. But again, like outside of the Celtics, Denver and Pistons, maybe Denver's probably favored slightly in all of the rest of the games.
Yeah, it
Is
seems like
that
a good, like, easy start to the season. October,
Yeah, so
November.
it'll be
Nothing like
really
games are spread out evenly.
if they
There's
start
some
this
breaks for the
season
NBA Cup.
meh, it's over. Like, I think there's a lot of pressure to have a good start with the kind of schedule
Yeah.
that they've
I mean,
laid out for them.
Pacers away might be hard for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
definitely lose that.
Yeah, they could lose that. Yeah, there's games they could lose, but they'll be favored in all of these games except for Boston and maybe Indiana,
Boston,
maybe
this is a home
Rockets.
game?
Uh,
I
yes, on
believe so. That's
November 18th.
we can win that.
Yeah, they can win it. I'm just saying, like, will they be favored? Right. So you got to win a few games that you're not favored in, also. But yeah, not
Yeah.
too bad. All right, let's flip to
All right.
December. Which this looks like a really light schedule because there's 2 games missing the makeup games or potential knockout round games if they do make the NBA Cup like quarterfinals there. So there will be 2 games inserted to that, like, what is that, like a 6, like a 8,
It's like a week.
9, yeah, 9-day span with no games. So there's that. So it's not going to be that light, but it'll be pretty light because, like, if they don't make the knockout rounds, that's just 2 more games just like inserted in there, and they get otherwise like some time off in between. And if they do make it, Lord help us, because that's another trip to another more travel to Las Vegas, and Jamal and Jokic being in Las Vegas that they'll then have to contend with for the rest of the season. And again, Lakers kind of tough, Timberwolves tough, Sixers is not going to be an easy game either. But it's kind of this month will be like a 50-50 month where it's like a lot of easy and a lot of like try to win, but we're not going to freak out if it's like a loss, right? Or I won't freak out. Last
Yeah.
regular
But,
season broke me.
and then the last week, yeah, Pacers and Wolves twice. Is that the first time we're? No, we're playing the Wolves. Is that the first time we're playing the Wolves?
I think that's the first time we're playing the Wolves.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a short road trip in there. You've got at Clippers, at Lakers, at Warriors. Um, I haven't looked at I think the group stage makeup games they could both be road games, which would turn like Sixers plus whatever into like an extended road trip. They might be coming home in between depending on like what days those games get scheduled for though.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah.
so
I just.
it might end up being a road heavy month, but otherwise it looks like a 50-50 month both in terms of home and away and
Mm-hmm.
opponent like opponent difficulty.
Yeah, and Yemen's bringing up that the start of December is the Sixers, which is off of the back to back in Toronto and wherever that was. Yeah,
Okay.
Pistons. So it's Toronto, Detroit, Sixers. So it's all in that area, but
Okay.
playing the
Still
Sixers last.
whatever. We never beat the Sixers in Philly anyway. So moving along.
This
Ja
is when it starts getting insane, by the way.
this is I think again the densest month in the schedule. This just is a thing with Denver.
It's like
Um
the
in
second
January.
half of January into February. The start
Yeah.
is crazy.
So this is where they're going to have to sort of run a bit of a marathon going into the All-Star break, right? Because wow, it's going to be Saturday games for like the whole month. That's not fun for me. But no Friday games. All right. So this is like, some pre-planning has to go on for how I organize my January social calendar here. Um that's interesting. Wow, so many Saturday games. All right. But again, like opponent quality, and maybe this says more about like where the league is at right now. Obviously, like you could lose to any of these teams, like any of them, genuinely, including the Wizards now, because they're going to be trying to win, right? Because of those lottery reforms that we alluded to earlier, that we've talked about before on the podcast. These teams do not want to be the worst team in the league anymore. They need to try to win some games. And now there's no penalty for being the 16th best team in the NBA, or I don't know, 14th worst, whatever, however you want to phrase that, versus the even like the fourth, right? So these are all losable games. But Denver again should be favored in most of them. They'll be favored at home against Orlando. They
The
probably so
Hornets
the
should
games they
be
won't be favored
wins.
in. Yes, they should beat the Hornets. We didn't lose to the Hornets last year,
Kings.
even though we came close.
Hornets Kings are gonna be wins for sure.
Must wins, must win games for sure. But other than that, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Wolves, and the Thunder, as well as the Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 out of the 16, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17 games in January. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that right. So
Yeah.
you'll be favored in more than 2/3 of these games. So if you just win the ones you're favored in January, you're winning at like a 67% clip this month. And it's a dense month. So if you just did that, that's great. Like you're still in great shape, especially if come out the gate, like come in like a hot out the gates for that October, November stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing with January is how the games are going to start piling up, because
Yeah.
even coming from December 19th to January 3rd when we play the Pistons, because that's a back to back, the Knicks and Pistons, that is 9 games in 14 days, and then
Yeah.
11 through January 11th through the 17th, you start with the Knicks on the 11th. That's a back to back Knicks Bucks both on the road, and then to the 17th versus Orlando, that's 5 games in 7 days. And those 5 game stretches in a week are definitely tough on our team. And like that's when you don't want injuries to happen. And then later in January, heading into February, which you'll see when we get to February, another insane dense. That's 9 games in 14 days.
So before we move on, do you think I'm looking at this January schedule and I'm like, are they gonna make Jokic or Jamal take any of these games off?
It might depend on just how we're doing in general.
So the answer is no,
And
because
if you can convince Jokic to take a game off for rest reasons.
Somebody needs to get Natalia to do it. Because I don't think he listens to anybody else. All right, let's move on to February. Is this the month of death outside of the All-Star break?
Yeah, it's just this beginning through the 12th
you've got
pretty
two
insane.
back-to-backs. Wait, the
Unless
All-Star
I'm
break is so
missing-
late.
Yeah, it's the 21st.
Okay, I guess I'm just thinking I'm always thinking that the All-Star break is like right after the trade deadline, but there's usually a week after that. And I guess that's what this is. Damn, I wish that game with the Jazz was actually just earlier, just pack it all in and then they get like an extended All-Star. Yeah, but you start the month with two back-to-backs between this Mavs Clippers game and then the Bulls Lakers. I'm really curious to see how good the Lakers actually are next year. I hope they're
I don't think they're going to be like
because I think we play them 4
formidable.
times, no?
Yeah, I think so. We don't play the Spurs as much, which is interesting.
Well, it's like this year 4 for your
Thunder,
division
Mavs, Clippers,
games.
Celtics, another back-to-back. 2
Yeah, we play the Lakers
weeks of
4 times
back-to-backs.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But again,
so 9
like
games
I'm
in
looking at the
14 days.
opponents and it's like if they could just take care of business and then like even if you lay an egg against I don't care if you lay an egg against the Celtics in Boston. Honestly, as long as you don't lose to the Mavs at home, for example. That Hawks game is going to be tough on the 7th. Because what is that? The 1, 2, 3, 4th in 5? It's like the 4th in 5 or 6 nights, which is pretty rough. And it's Atlanta.
It's a really rough
it might be the first time I watched them lose to the Hawks. They've come close a couple of times, but I don't think I've actually seen them lose to the Hawks in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, I think they did lose one at home against the Hawks. This was during January when Jokic was out last year, but everyone talks about like the dreaded the Atlanta road trip. But Denver hasn't lost that in 3 years. But they might this time. But yeah, this will be the end of the season series for the Lakers. They play them twice in twice in December and then twice again in February. So we'll be done with Luka after February 26th, at least until the playoffs. Yay. Is that our first game against the Spurs?
Is it in February? I'll go back.
I think that's what I was saying is I think they only play San Antonio 3 times next year. Yeah. I think that's our first game against the Spurs on February 28th. Interesting. That can't be right. Because that would only be twice.
Trying to look through. Don't see any Spurs until... Is there none in January?
I thought there was.
Whoa, I think it is. How is it so late?
I mean,
I think it is.
They had they started against Oklahoma City at the same time last year. Is that right? Wait, I'm looking at the itemized schedule, like the list version, and I only see San Antonio
It is.
twice.
It is the first Spurs game is February 28th.
Okay, let's go through the rest of the schedule and see if we see more than one more at the end of the year.
We play them in quick because we play the Spurs March 3rd, so it's like twice in a
Oh,
week
okay. Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Okay, so that's 3. Yeah. All right, so oh my gosh. This does not look
March is kind of crazy too.
wow, look at all the Sunday games. It's interesting seeing it lined up like this because you have to see the days of the week. I'm not I'm kind of worried about this because I'm just looking at I'm looking at the times on the itemized schedule, and we've got a matinee against the Wolves on the 7th. Um, it's not a matinee, but it's kind of an early evening game against the Heat, and then we played the Heat 2 Sundays in a row. Jeez. Normal time again, like an evening game, and then, um, Philadelphia is just like a straight up night game, like 8 PM. So, I was worried that we just got a bunch of Sunday matinees in a row, which may or may not be good for Denver. It's been interesting to watch that sort of progression. It's funny because in 2020, 23-24, the season after the title, they were crushing on matinee games. Just like over and over and over again, just like blowing teams out. And then the only one that they lost was the last game against Dallas, the one with the Kyrie game winner. And then obviously they didn't end up playing Dallas in the playoffs that year after they lost to uh, Minnesota in round 2. But then they've pretty much sucked at matinee as like Sunday matinees ever since then. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's been interesting to watch as well. And the team is different every year. But yeah, this is a pretty dense March. You've got multiple weeks with 4 games in there. That 7th through the 20th, you've got is that 8 and
Yeah,
14. And then
7
yeah, this
through
is so when you
the
get the 9 and 14 because you get the Heat game right after that, and then you get a back-to-back 3 days later, and then another back-to-back the following week. So this is the worst. This is the worst month, right?
in
Is
terms
this
of density, because March 7 through 16 is
16?
6 games in 10 days,
I
and
guess
then
January is technically
8
worse because it's got one more game, but this is pretty
yeah,
brutal.
and then March 18th, which is the Cavs through the 29th, which ends on a road trip, play Sacramento. It's a back to back, one home game, one away game. It's so that's 7 games in 12 days. So 7 and 12, which 7 and 11 is way worse, but 7 and 12. So some stretches here where it's a lot of games and it's March and people are already starting to be annoyed and not wanting to play, not wanting to travel. And if
Yeah.
you have injuries you've been dealing with, like, let's hope we're not like limping to the finish line of the season because March, there's a lot going on. So if we're struggling, it's going to be hard to keep up with this pace, but it could be worse, I suppose.
Yeah, if they're struggling by this point, Adelman's probably already gotten fired. Um, the if they're struggling by this
Three
point,
back to
Dave Yeager
backs.
is the head coach of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, three
A
back to backs
triple
in this
back
month
to
too.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were they Oh, gross. It's literally 3 back-to-backs in a row. Okay, but there's, like, 2 days off in between each one. I don't know if that's, like, better or worse than just doing, like, a every other just make it every other night. Like,
Yeah.
why not just make it every other night? This is um, the downside of the NBA starting later than the NHL is that they get their schedule out later, which means the NHL gets their, um, reservations on those dates sooner, which is
Yeah.
annoying. Um, Lots of NBA teams share their arenas with NHL teams. It's not just Denver. So everyone thinks it's like the concert venue thing, but I think it's more the NHL thing because they just share those arenas and they have 83 games in their schedule. Um, yeah. Oh well, this is how it is. So yeah, it's really important for Denver to get off to a not just a good start, but a great start early because they've got like we're looking at the opponents here and again, like, okay, Spurs, Wolves, Heat. Like they've got like 5 games out of the 16 this month that are like you could go 0-5 potentially, like in those 5 games. And then the rest you're favored in. Even at Orlando, maybe you lose that, so maybe 6, right? Um, but if you could win like half of those and then just win the rest, that'd be great. But you can understand how you're gonna drop a couple, like a game or 2 here and there, just based on the density of the schedule and the attrition starting to build up. So yeah, really important to take care of business early so that you can give yourself a bit of slack late. It's very different than last year where it was a less dense March and April and they had more homestands there. Like they spent a good bit of time on the road in March, but
Yeah, we
there's
had
no
that
like
really
one
long.
long road trip.
We had that road trip where I think Jokic was hurt, and it was against a bunch of East teams who were kind of bad, and we
Yeah, it was like
won
right. Like he
more
got
than
hurt right
expected.
before a
But
long road trip.
yeah,
Yeah, that sucked.
but I think there's less like long, crazy road trips. I think I heard Ryan say that, or he tweeted about it. And less total flights as well.
Yeah, so,
So
like, the longest road trip is only 4 games. I think Bennett Durando was looking at that too. Ryan counted that they only have 14 back-to-backs compared to the 16 they originally had scheduled last year that turned into 17 because of the rescheduled Memphis Grizzlies game that had to be rescheduled because of, the blizzard that was happening all across the kind of
oh yeah,
really, like, the whole, like, Mid-Atlantic and Southern US was kind of struggling with that there. Um but that was really annoying because it's like you get an additional back to back and they still traveled. Like they were trapped in Memphis for a weekend. Right? They still had to go there and come back. So that still added mileage to everybody. Um and then here's how they close out the season. Again, it's like Phoenix, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Clippers, and then Spurs and Thunder who let's be honest, are probably not gonna be playing for anything in those last 2 games of the season, just like this last year.
I'm hoping we're not in some seeding hunt. It's hard to imagine us not being in a close race because the West just is close, and you kind of need to win all your games down the stretch. But I really don't want to. Well, unless the Spurs and Thunder are resting guys again, is it going to be? It's going to be a situation where teams have the opportunity to manipulate the standings and maybe their first round opponent if they just lose the game. You know, like OKC or Spurs could be in a position where they could try to beat the Nuggets, and then that might make the Wolves go down 1 or go up 1. And, you know, just same thing that happened last season where everyone was mad that we didn't lose to the Spurs, I
Well,
believe.
it's not like we were trying to win. Jokic, like,
Yeah.
got his 15
Yeah.
minutes and got out of there. And the Spurs played everybody but Wemby, which was interesting. Um, and still lost. Again, interesting. We didn't play any of our starters in that game outside of Jokic getting the time he needed for his 65
Yeah.
games.
65. Yeah.
Um,
I don't want to be in that position again.
well, they're in that position seems like every year except the title year, right?
Yeah. But
It'll be
starting
interesting
with
to
the
see.
Thunder and
Like
ending with the Thunder.
I'm gonna be honest though, this year, just based on like we're gonna get to this on a later episode when we do our like assessments of like where do we think each team actually is right now. I think it's more likely that Denver is in a seeding battle with OKC or San Antonio for second than battling with some other team for third. Um, likely the Lakers or Rockets, maybe the Blazers. Like we'll see what comes of them. Maybe there's a surprise team in the West that comes out of nowhere, that surprised everybody. But I just think Denver is clearly better than the teams that are below. Like last year, they won 54 games with Jokic out for a month and then playing terribly for a month after he came back. Like, if they don't change anything about the roster, I just think they'll be at least as good as they were in terms of record. And I don't know
Yeah.
that they'll be OKC or San Antonio good, but I think it's more likely that they're up there than they are fighting with the Lakers for third seed.
Yeah.
So.
One thing that I didn't put on the schedule was which are national TV games. So did you
Yes,
find
let's
that?
talk about that. I mean, we don't have to talk about which ones they are, but there's always a discourse every year about like which teams get the most national TV games. I actually want to let me send you this great graphic from Lev Akabas, where I think he makes this one every year. Um, just tracking like how much change there was in each team's
Oh yeah.
total number of national TV games. Hang on, let me. Why don't you talk about something
I
else
would
while
have
I just track this down real quick?
I mean, I would have thought the Nuggets would go down in national TV games. Like I wasn't expecting losing the Christmas game, but I did expect the NBA to not market the Nuggets on national TV as much because national coverage has been changing. It's not just TNT and ESPN, but ESPN hates the Nuggets. So I wouldn't expect that.
Okay, I just dropped it in the drive.
Oh, okay. Let me grab it.
Um,
Yeah, you can talk about it. I'll bring it up.
yeah. So I'll just talk a bit about it before you bring it up. Unsurprisingly, the one of the teams that has the most national TV games in the league is the Philadelphia 76ers. That LeBron draw is crazy. Like, they went from 14 national TV games last year, which was basically, we commented on it as like, they are being punished for being injured the year before because this was a team that had, Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George on it. And then this season now swapping out Paul George for Jaylen Brown and adding LeBron James. Obviously, they're right at the tippy top of the league with 34 national TV games, alongside them being the Spurs, the Lakers, and unsurprisingly, the Knicks, the NBA champions. The Oklahoma City Thunder actually dropped 4 games there, going down to 30. I don't think that that's a punishment. I think it's literally just like game allocation situation. Um
Yeah,
and this was
kind
the
of
real
interesting.
surprise though. The Denver
We went
Nuggets
up
a couple of national TV games going from. Are you okay?
26 to 28, or what do we got
Yeah,
to
going from 26 to 28 national TV games, tied with the
crazy,
Golden State Warriors.
crazy.
Um Hope we get NBC games. I don't care about NBC games as much. I want more Amazon Prime games, to be honest.
I feel like
Uh,
the NBA is treating us like fodder for the big teams. Like they're a great team to just put up against the Thunder and the
I
Spurs,
mean,
and you
you
can
have to
watch those
play
teams
those
beat
teams
us.
so well. Like every team is fodder for every other team.
I know. I just feel like that's what they're doing, but yeah.
I mean, are we not? Like, that's what it is. Nobody has us favored. But that's the thing is like, I'd rather be decent fodder than like a complete
Yeah.
afterthought, right?
hmm
Because at least you have a
And
punch list chance.
I don't know what the Nuggets broadcast team, the local team, will be like. So if I end up not enjoying them, I have a lot of chances to watch national
Yep.
TV broadcasts, I guess, even though they're not that good either.
Um, except Michael Grady on Amazon Prime. There's a few other good ones on Amazon Prime as well.
Wow, the Heat
But
really went up because of Giannis.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
the Heat went. They had 5.
that's
Man, they
that's
really got
wild.
docked for trading Jimmy last year. I didn't even notice that. That's crazy.
The Wolves go down 1. That's hilarious. I wish the Wolves went down more,
Yeah,
but
what are the other big changes? The Clippers, um,
Warriors.
were the Clippers? I guess, like, they lost. I mean, they're probably gonna lose Kawhi. That's, like, the big one. So you can see
Yeah.
kind of, like, they docked, like, the Clippers and the Bucks lost a bunch, right? Like, they weren't even that high. They were kind of middle of the pack here. But they lost a bunch from losing Giannis. So they're like, somebody's got to get these games, and Denver benefited. They were one of the teams that got to benefit from that. Um,
I'm a- I'm actually surprised the Spurs didn't have more last season because they should have embraced Wemby sooner. But here we are now; they're in the top. I'm happy that we still have national TV and we're have a
I
Christmas
mean,
game. I
how
mean,
much did they need
you
to
just gotta
embrace the
keep
Spurs
Jokic.
last season though? Like they weren't good the year before, and they still had over 20 national TV games.
I guess that's true.
I think that's a pretty warm embrace.
Now they're in the finals, so yeah.
Yeah, nah. So
Very true, very
they get
true.
top billing, right? You got a bit of a bump here for the Jazz and the Wizards, who had the number 1 and number 2 overall picks, right? In AJ Dibansa, who goes to Washington, and the Jazz, who got Darren Peterson. Looking for the Memphis Grizzlies, they actually went down, despite Cam Boozer, but they were at 10 last year.
They went
Um,
down a lot. The
yeah, they
Bucks
lost
obviously
8.
went down a ton. Yeah,
Kings.
interesting.
Why did the Kings have so many last year? Like, what did they think was gonna happen there? Yeah,
For the
there's a lot of
Clippers to
teams that
go
lost, like, a couple games here and there also.
down from plus 20 down to 8,
Yeah.
you'd think the Raptors would have gotten more, but they're only at 7. If
Well,
you would
Kawhi's
consider
not
Kawhi
on the
actually going
Raptors
there.
yet. I feel like if he was on the Raptors, it would have been
So they
more.
just couldn't do it because they don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen. Yeah,
yeah. Now, this
interesting.
is subject to change, like, they can bump games in favor of other games, like, kinda whenever they want, with good reason. If, for example, if LeBron and Embiid both got, like, catastrophically injured for, like, large stretches of next season, I don't think the Sixers are gonna keep all 34 national TV games, for example. But if
Yeah, they
LeBron
can
is healthy
flex
the
them
whole year,
around.
they're gonna keep all the games. Right? That's the
Yeah,
that's the major, that's the major variable there. Um, so yeah, you alluded to the fewer back-to-backs than last season. 14 is pretty good. I think that's like one more than like the um lowest number in the league. Apparently they were looking to reduce the number of back-to-backs overall. I had saved
that's
a
good.
tweet about that earlier. So that's good. Like I do like that there will, let's try to ease the density burden on some of these. Like the density is what it is, like an aggregate, right? But maybe try to spread things out a little bit, like even things out within the span of the season. So it's not so much like stop start. Like that 1 month that we talked about where they've got, 3 back-to-backs, but um separated. There's like 2 full days off in between each back-to-back, series. Um, how much better would that have been if it was just, uh, every other day games for like a week and a half? One note, I didn't notice any baseball series here, Will.
Yeah, there aren't any, at least for the Nuggets. I don't know if there are in the league for other
Yeah,
teams, but
I'm
it
definitely
was
gonna
always an
peek
interesting thing.
at
They went
the.
away from that.
Yeah, I think like they're not particularly, like, they don't do anything special when it's like a home and away, but when they, like, we had a few, like, quite a few last year that were like home and home, away and away, so that there wasn't as much travel. But they were somehow able to reduce the travel overall
Yeah,
without
without
those,
doing it.
which is kind of interesting. I'm curious to
Yeah.
see some other team schedules to see if they just, like, intentionally went away from them or if it just, like, this is how things, fell, um,
Yeah.
from Denver. Because if they're not on anybody's schedule, then it would suggest that there was something intentional about going away from these for some reason. I didn't mind them at all. Um Yeah. One of the questions that we had last year is which non-division West teams does Denver play 4 full times at least? And as of right now, pending whatever happens with the makeup games in the NBA Cup, we're not playing the Spurs 4 times. They're definitely playing the Lakers 4 times and, talked about how they're gonna be done with that series. They kind of pack in the Lakers, pretty early because 'cause they're play them twice in December and then twice in February, so, like, a month without playing them and then play them again. Um, the other teams here, I'm just zooming in on this schedule. What are the other teams that you would not wanna play 4 times? Like, if you had the option to just play them 3, like, in the West? Probably just Houston, right? Like, I just can't think of anybody else to, like, actively not wanna deal with.
Just whoever those top seeds I don't want to play for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Houston, they play on November 9th, November 20th, my birthday. Oh, Amazon Prime game on my birthday, let's go.
Oh no,
And
against who?
what's happening?
Against who?
Against the Rockets, against Houston.
They better not disappoint you.
Um, oh, true. Maybe I'll just watch that game after the fact. I'll just go out. And then February 14th, I think they only play Houston 3 times. Don't quote me on that. And there's always the possibility that they get Houston as a makeup game to make it 4, which we have to keep in the back of our minds there. Um, but as it's scheduled, I think they only play Houston. So I just feel like the
We play
opponent quality-wise, and maybe this says more about the West this season, uh,
I think we play
Denver.
OKC 4, Minnesota
Yeah, because 'cause they're
4,
in the
Portland 4,
division.
and Jazz 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just the division.
Yeah. Well, no, sometimes usually there's gonna be, like, a couple other West teams that you play 4 times, like, in this case, the Lakers.
Yeah. I guess we lucked out. Do we play the
So
Lakers?
it's
We didn't play them
probably
4
gonna
times.
be it's gonna be weaker teams is my point. It might be New Orleans, like, do are we just done with New Orleans after
Mhm.
that first week of November?
I don't know if we're done with them, but we don't play them 4 times.
Okay, I see Memphis twice. Yeah, you bear with us, guys. Normally, I would have, gone through this already, but the schedule literally came out, like, 2 hours before the show. They should release the schedule on Wednesday. I don't know why they insist on this Thursday thing because they don't even release any
Yeah,
part of
don't
the
they
schedule on
know we
Wednesday.
stream on Thursday?
Yeah,
I feel like we did
seriously.
this last year too, where we were reacting to the schedule and
Did we do it the
um,
same day? I feel like I had it in my hands for a day because I went through and, like, marked, like, wins, losses, um, ahead of the
hmm.
show. Um, yeah, Memphis, like, I'm kinda baffled because the Lakers so far are the only team that I've seen that we do play 4 times outside of our division.
Do we play the Clippers 4 times?
Alright, I see we play them pretty early, right? Oh, maybe not. Yeah, so we play them in December, but we've got a we've got a weird, like, home against the Lakers and then road against the Clippers, road against the Lakers, 3-game
Hmm.
situation in
Yeah.
December. Um, play them in March. There's got to be at least one more. Yeah, in February, I only see 3. That's
Hmm.
so weird.
Nice.
So yeah, it's got to be teams like it must be like Sacramento. That's my guess here without having combed through it. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Maybe.
So it's
Yeah,
like
maybe we
the
do
reason
play the Pelicans 4 times.
I was looking through like the teams that are projected to be like top of the West because I was wondering, are there any tough teams that we're going to play like one more time? Seems like not. So probably the like West team that we get like a quote unquote extra game against are going to be on the weaker side for sure. Um, I haven't gone through Golden State. That's probably the toughest. Like it's just it's annoying because like the top of the West is going to be the Northwest Division and San
Yeah,
Antonio.
of course.
So at least we
Mm-hmm.
don't play San Antonio 4 times, but we're definitely going to play the Northwest Division teams all 4 times. Already talked about, yeah, Utah's in the Northwest Division. So yeah, that's the gist of the opponent quality parts of the schedule. I had a question here for you, Will,
Mm-hmm.
about last year's schedule and what aspects of the schedule last season did we not anticipate making a difference, but ended up playing, like some sizable role in how last season went?
Oh man. I kind of It's hard to remember the exact schedule, and obviously the injuries were the big thing. And I don't know if it's just the amount of back to backs that we had, or the team's unwillingness to rest people for back to backs.
Yeah, and that's not going to change, as we know, or as we highly suspect. I think one thing last year that a lot of people have pointed to that we didn't like anticipate, or maybe some people did point it out when the schedule came out, but we didn't weigh it as like being a major factor. There were a lot of single game homestands, and then like having
Yeah,
to be in
yeah, we
Denver and
kept
then
talking about
travel, be
that.
in Denver and then travel, and there weren't many long homestands until they had a 5 game homestand in like March, but like no more than 3 games maybe at any point before that. Um, there's a lot less of that, where they get multiple decent chunk
Yeah,
homestands.
and why our
Uh,
home record wasn't great last season,
the home record was
supposedly in
atrocious.
theory.
Well, the funny thing about that is, we talked about how they don't have a super long road trip this year. Uh, 4 games is the longest one. Denver actually did really well on some of the longer road
Yeah.
trips last year. They went 26 and
Mm-hmm.
15 on the road, which was 3rd
We
best
were
in
an
the
amazing road
conference,
team.
4th best road record in the league, right? Of the East teams, the Pistons were the only one that had a better road record. Um, so I don't
I
expect
think,
that to be
yeah,
the case again this season because, like I said, like the team just has different things that they happen to be really good at schedule wise each season. Like
I think,
23-24, I talked about the Sunday matinees. They were also really good on back to backs. Like I think their
yeah,
record on back to backs was over 70%, which is crazy.
yeah, we
Um,
like basketball sports energy says, we were great on back to back, especially the second night of a back to
Yeah,
back we would
the
win.
second nights of back-to-backs in particular, they were really good on. It was almost better
Mhm.
to be on a back-to-back after a loss, right? Because like, they never dropped those games basically that season.
I just the thing with me with the Nuggets is always that we try really hard to win like a tough game against a good opponent, and then because they put in so much effort, we can lose to like a
Yeah,
mediocre team.
and, like,
Um,
there are gonna be more teams putting in effort this year because there's no incentive to lose.
yeah, that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out through the season
And you
and
know
how
what's gonna
harder.
happen is that Denver is gonna be like, "Ugh, we're so above, like, this team, like, trying against us and, like, having to try against, like, the Utah Jazz." and then they're gonna get caught, and it's gonna be really, really annoying because it's what they always do. Dave
Hmm.
Yeager, save us.
It's a
Like,
storyline.
make them try in
Yeah,
these games. Like,
light a fire under them. I mean, it's going to be a storyline. How urgent will the Nuggets be? Because it didn't seem like they cared too much last season, and people are questioning how hungry they are to win another championship. So, and if teams aren't taking, and you can't just string together winning streaks, and we did finally win a 10-game win streak with Jokic. Maybe it'll happen again this season, but
oh yeah, that
maybe,
happened. I totally forgot about that. They
yeah,
made it 12 games, didn't they?
yeah, I think so. That was
Yeah.
a crazy streak, but yeah. The longest homestand is 6 games, I think, from January
That
14 through
sounds right. Let me see.
the 23rd.
Yeah,
Let me go to
so
January.
yeah, the 14th through the 25th. And they don't
Yeah,
play on the road again until the 27th. That's a
and they're
really
all spread
long.
out too.
It's a dense
None of
month,
them
but
are
at
back
least
to
you get a
backs.
long homestand in the middle of a dense month, right?
That's
So
true.
that could play in your favor.
Yeah, that could work out. So March might actually be worse, but yeah,
Yeah. So let's go with
because
March
that's
is
the
worse, even though
long
they have
four
one.
game. That's the longest road trip, also in March. Is there multiple?
Um,
I think there's
Yeah, they do have a 4-game
multiple.
road trip. They have one other 4-game road trip.
Are they
Um,
both in
they have
March?
2 actually. They have multiple 4-game road trips. But yeah, March is dense and it has a 4-game road trip and it has like all those back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Um, geez, like it's actually pretty disgusting schedule. That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like
Wait,
on
and
its
then
face
March
doesn't necessarily look better, but when you hear the stats about back to backs and the travel and all that, it's technically better,
dude,
but
the Nets
only
game
by a
is a
little bit.
back-to-back
Oh, the Nets
because
game's
they
going
have
back
a
to back.
game on the 28th of February too. So that's
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
and it's that's from San Antonio to Brooklyn. We got to play
Yeah.
Wemby, and then we got to play MPJ. That's not fair.
And Julius Randle. Like, that's the part that I'm worried about.
Oh yeah, he's on the Nets.
Yeah. Wait, could
I
you go back
forgot
to
that.
March for a second? I just wanna see uh with the back-to-back situation here. They've got so the Nets is 1, 2 for the Kings, 3 for the Heat, 4,
And then
5.
Wizards Nets. So it's
Yeah.
technically
And then the Sixers
five
Heat
back to
is 5.
backs in March.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's tough. I would like this month, I feel like it would look a lot better if they didn't do the 2 games off in between or the 3 games off after San Antonio. But I mean, I get it because they're coming off a back to back and that's gonna be a 3rd and 4. Yeah, I'm so curious what they're like feeding whatever algorithm makes the schedule after the national TV games are selected. Like what they're weighing in all of this. I guess if they like, I'm glad they reduced the number of back to backs overall, but like they're all in March. Like all of our back to backs are in March.
Yeah, it's almost,
Or
yeah,
more than a
5 out of
third.
14.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, but there are no more like 1-game homestands, so that's good. So it's just a more balanced schedule. There's no like we do get a like you said a 1 6-game homestand, but other than that, there's no like super long stretches. It's like 3 or 4 games at a time on the road at home. So you have the ability to like catch a rhythm, but there's no like one stretch that you're like super reliant upon. So I'm really because of that, I'm really looking at outside of March being like death month, the Denver Nuggets have to get off to a really good start this season because they have
Yeah.
very minimal density in November and obviously October for that first week. And their opponent quality, like their opponent difficulty is pretty low. Like, so if you guys are gonna try to like catch a rhythm or whatever, like do it while winning and just try to like take care of business because it doesn't get easier than than November, you know?
Yeah. Remember the narrative where, Jamal Murray wouldn't play well to start the season and we wanted everyone to show up and play well so we could start seasons off on a good note. And then he did and had a complete season last year. And hopefully he does it again but we need everyone to do it because I felt like the team was really good
Yeah.
and then Murray was kind of behind. And then last
Yeah,
year was
Jamal
like
was like
Murray was
low
really
key
good and everyone
carrying
was
early
behind.
because everybody kind of started like pretty like dragging. Like AG had the 50 plus points on opening night against the
Oh,
Warriors
yeah.
in a loss, but he was really like he was really bad defensive. Like everyone memory holes this, but there was a point at the beginning of the season where I was like, why is Jamal the best defender in the starting lineup? What the hell is going on right now? And obviously that like tailed off
But
as the
yeah, the
season went on, and then
defense.
everybody else got kind of started to get their stuff together, but it wasn't enough. That was really rough. So that's something that like I feel like if Dave Yeager can make them a more competent defense to start the season, that could go a very, very, very long
Mhm.
way to
Yeah.
um yeah, to having a strong start record wise. But we'll see. We shall see. Right?
Some comments
Any
in the chat about
yeah,
the
please.
Nuggets winning. Swipa says the Nuggets will win 60 plus games.
Swipa came in our chat and said that because I saw him do that on Twitter too.
Oh, no, just the chat was telling us that that's what
Was
he said.
telling us
So
that.
do you think
Okay.
the
The
Nuggets
chat
can
is
win 60
tattling
plus
on
games?
Swipa. I do. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, again, last year no, to be fair, they had a historic shooting season as a regular season team. That may not happen again, but we know that the offense is, like, good enough. The question is, like, can the defense get there to, like, not match it, but just be, like, you know, not look like, 2 people that showed up to different parties that came together to look like they're going to different parties. Um, and if they can do that, they can make up for some of the shooting luck going away, um, and have a strong start to the season. And if they literally just have like 50% better injury luck, you can easily see them making up the 6 games that they like the 6 games away from 60 that they were last year. They won 54 games with Jokic being out for a month. Like, that's crazy. And not just that part, because they actually overperformed in that month, but he was terrible for the month that he came back, and that's when they really started to, like, falter as a team, right? Um, yes, basketball sports energy, we did have 7 players shooting over 40% from 3. That's not going to happen again. 1, because Tim Hardaway Jr. is not here anymore, and that's a big one. 2, because, like, even if Jamal has another strong start to the season, you cannot expect him to have another historic outside shooting season. But if everyone plays well and shoots, like, slightly above average, but then plays better defense, you could have the same result, and then it's just a question of health luck. Now, I'm not gonna predict that they win 60 games like I did I didn't predict they'd win 60 games, but I thought that I got in a whole back and forth with somebody about this, like, what? It's not a crazy prediction to make. It's not one I'm gonna make, but I don't think it's crazy. I think that Denver will probably win more than 55 games. Like, that's my 50th percentile, like, outcome for this team as it's currently constructed. We'll see what happens as the rest of the offseason progresses. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's 60. I don't think it's crazy to be confident enough in the team to think they'll win 60 games next year. Especially if like Christian was so bad to start the season. Like it was
Hmm.
It was weird that they were winning so
And
many
so
games
was
early,
Cam, wasn't
honestly.
he? Cam
Cam
started
was
out so
bad
slow.
too. Cam was bad. Christian was bad, just like straight up. Jokic was bad defensively. AG was bad defensively. Jamal had a strong start. And then everybody was shooting the lights out, right? So that's what was carrying them. And then obviously when Jokic went down, we started to see some of the cracks in that foundation that kind of like completely crumbled once he came back. And it was yeah. But yeah, I don't think that's crazy. Any other comments on
No,
the
that
schedule
was
or
good
anything?
breakdown. Thanks for bearing with us, chat, as we sift our way through all this, but it was fun looking at each month and seeing how we'll end up.
This is what they want, Will. They want us to talk for 2 hours, no matter what. Uh, all right. Well, thanks so much, Will, for putting together that amazing calendar. We'll get screen grabs of that and post it on our socials also because I think it looks really cool. Um, yeah, if you guys have made it this far, you're completely sick and you need to go on vacation. But so do we, which Will is about to do. So good for him. But we appreciate you guys the most. If you do like our content, please remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Yemen, we are not talking for 4 hours. And leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on socials, and all those links are in the description. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.